All right, here we
Okay.
are. So, welcome to another Vision Made Real with the extraordinary women in Tirtha. And this month we have Michelle Scalario. And
Scalero.
I know I was going to
You
say
always want
that.
to add an extra syllable to my name.
I always do.
It's all
Exactly.
right.
No, please, please. I'm sorry. Just keep, anytime I get it wrong, please correct it. It's important to get your name right. So now Michelle and I, oh my gosh, we have a very kismet way of how we connected. So Michelle is, you're going to learn more about Michelle and her story, her vision, and what she's creating as part of her legacy and the difference she wants to make for the people that she wants to impact and how they get impacted shortly. But before we get to all the richness and goodness of what you're going to share with us, Michelle, do you remember that moment that you and I were sat in New York and we were just face to face for the first time, I think.
Hmm.
And we just sat and we got so connected on the difference that we wanted to make for women. And
Yeah.
it was like one conversation. And that was the beginning of us creating and being in this relationship together now for over a year. And it's quite amazing what's happened since then. But starting from the very beginning, I'm going to pretend like I don't know you. I don't know your story. And Becca probably doesn't. And maybe Michelle only knows a little bit, right? So,
Hmm.
in your own words, tell us about yourself, Michelle.
Oh my gosh. Where should I start? Let's see. I am a therapist by profession now. I've been a licensed as a therapist for over 20 years, but I spent most of my career working for other people in sort of corporate environments or in the human service field, but in like executive positions and like leading teams and then I pivoted at one point to I was always in the not-for-profit world and then I went to the for-profit world because I was like I'm tired of like not making any money. Um, and when I did that, I was really ambitious, really driven and killing it seemingly on paper, but really struggling internally with my identity. And I didn't realize this at the time. So I'm like launching into a whole story here rather than telling you about who I am, but maybe I'll just go with it.
Go with it.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll go with it. So anyway, the last corporate job I had, I was an executive director of out of an apartment, a senior living apartment facility, and it's very high pressure. I wound up getting dismissed from my that job, right? And it wound up being the best thing that ever happened to me, looking back, because it really allowed me to see what I had been missing, being in the throes of burnout and overwhelm at the time, and like so disconnected from myself and who I am um, that actually forced me to pause long enough to really look and have the opportunity to be still long enough to get in touch with like, okay, what is really aligned for me? And that was kind of the start of, what is now my purpose and the work that I want to do with my clients and women and people in general. I do have a private practice, out of that. So I, stopped working for other people, opened up my private practice and became a solopreneur and have developed my practice and my style of therapy using all of my, I have a lot of like training in transformation. That's where we first knew each other in the world of landmark and, also in my education and experience in the mental health field. And so I've kind of melded, created this new way of practicing that really is transformative for the people that I work with. So it's very solution focused and short term and forward facing for the most part. So people who are looking more for like a coaching style of therapy, it really resonates with them and that's usually what attracts them to work with me as a therapist. And and my work as a therapist is similar to, I think, I don't know if this got on the recording, but we were talking about, the way that I work is very intuitive, and I work with, who's in front of me and what's in front of me and what comes up in the conversation. So I'm able to really tailor the way that I work with people to, what I know and sense resonates with them, and what'll be effective for them. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of the approach that when we start to work with people, the beginning point is that we're always our clients. Like what we have to go through and
yeah.
get for ourselves then becomes the opening in which we start to work with people, we start to create with people, coach, be a therapist for people, and all that. So if you go back to that moment, Michelle, when they always say in hindsight, can you see clearly?
Hmm.
But during that time that you were dismissed as an executive director of a senior care facilitation, saying that right? What
Apartment building. Yeah.
which is a lot of work because you're taking
Yeah.
care of all these people within that setup. So looking back now, what is so obvious for you to see as women that was out of alignment that you now really recognize it as out of alignment? Because that's what we were going to start to get into on this call.
Yeah. For me personally, it was immediately seeing how, the higher you get in the corporate environment, the further you are from the end user, let's say, for lack of a better way to put it. So, and my gifts have always been most powerful and effective when I work one-on-one with people. And so when I took on that role, it really took me out of being connected with the people that I was there for and there to make a difference with.
Yeah.
So that's like the main thing. And the first thing is, that's what really became so clear to me is I was not even interacting or being with the people, that I wanted to or purported to want to make a difference for. And, my vision got blurred, let's say, or sidetracked because I didn't have any vision. I was just a machine doing what the people above me and my metrics told me I needed to be doing to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. And what else? What about that relationship with yourself? How do women miss that they're burnt out?
Because we we get trained to ignore what our intuition is telling us, what our bodies are telling us. How many, and like here's an everyday example. How many times do you not pee all day and don't even realize it until like the end of the day? You're like, I haven't even gone to the bathroom because you've been so busy in your work day doing the work, or you don't eat, or you take lunch at your desk, right? Or you're tired, or like, I've always carried tension here in my shoulders. And it wasn't until recently that like I realized, oh my God, I haven't had that. It's been gone for a while now. But it was always a constant that I would just ignore as like, oh, that's, I didn't even question it. It was like, it just is. It's just pain in my shoulder. I got to push through and deal with it.
Mhm.
Not realizing that part of it was for me, like my body trying to tell me, no, this doesn't work. This isn't right for you. And so as I got used to like really listening to myself and my body, I started using it as a compass to sort of guide me when it comes to like, all right, what do I need right now? Or what's next for me? What feels aligned? And so when, we talk about alignment, it's really an embodied kind of thing. I actually like consult my body and my emotions and just like my presence. And it sounds a little woo-woo, but there's, that's just the best way I have to explain it right now.
No, no, but
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is right on. I don't think we've been trained to be a certain way. I just don't think we've developed a way that we knew we had.
Hmm.
I don't think we were actively trained to be something else. I just don't think I've been in an environment until I had to do the work, you had to do the work. There's so
Right.
many women now who started to do this work because we've now realized that we haven't been connected to ourselves. We haven't been in relationship with our body. We haven't been in relationship with our emotions. So how do you begin that? So when a woman or man, but predominantly a woman, starts working with you, Michelle, how do you start working with them? So imagine I'm your executive CEO, which I am, and I've just sat at this desk since 7:30 a.m. and I'm coming to you. Like, what kind of conversation would you have with me to develop me in this way that you now see would make a difference for me? Just use me as a guinea pig so people can really get a feel for you.
Well, I would say tell me what is going on for you? What's not working, or what do you want? Or what
But
are you dealing with? It starts from a conversation, and then I
it's
just have to like, and it's not like some magic thing that like sometimes it takes a little while. It's like a an unfolding,
yeah. Okay.
or a
But
peeling back of layers, and it does, it happens sort of slowly. It's like the sunrise happens really slowly, and then suddenly there it is.
right. And I don't think we're used to even anything happening slowly anymore, like the
Hmm.
patience
Yeah.
to even let anything unfold has to even get in with people.
Hmm. And it's also not linear too, because, through the process, it's also, it takes some self-compassion, i.e., like, just recognizing that you are human and not perfect. And, like, I still don't even follow my own advice sometimes. Will deny what's true for me and say yes when I know it's not right for me, or, commit to something out of obligation or fear, or wanting to look good instead of, what feels aligned. But the difference is, like, now I recognize it a lot sooner, and I'm more confident about backtracking, being like, you know what, I this actually doesn't work for me, and being able to really speak my truth in those moments. So it's not like, okay, I've like recovered from burnout and now I've got it all handled, and here I get to show you how to. No, I'm still right alongside my clients, working, with them. And, something you were saying earlier too about, like, and I'm sure you experience this, show with the way that we work. Our clients are often mirrors for us and what we're dealing with. And it's so interesting to me how much the things that I have to deal with myself, or I'm confronted with, show up in the space of my, work with one-on-one with clients.
Completely. And that's what keeps it real. That's
Yeah,
what keeps the work real. And instead of it just becoming a thing that you give advice on, which is not coaching or transformation, it's come from knowing. So
right.
you and I walking and talking our talk, but tonight really is about your walk. It's so interesting. I just want to really open up what we started to touch on, which was this conversation of alignment.
Hmm.
And and this is a tricky conversation to have because most people, until you get so clear for yourself what out of alignment is, never realize they're out of alignment. Now, what do I mean by that? So I, my husband's a ballet dancer, right? So he can look at people and look by how they're walking straight away if they're walking on the front of their foot or the back of their foot. And for years, I walked from the back of my foot. And he just looks at me and goes, "You're not walking right. You need to put your weight forward and put it on the front of your foot." So my walking has been completely out of alignment in my body for 48 years. Or maybe it was in alignment, but then it fell out. I don't know, right? So I've been walking, but to me, that's my walking. But unless someone can show me or tell me that I'm not in alignment with how I'm walking, I will continue going that way. So, do you work with women to support them once you can see and it's unfolded to examine areas and things that they're doing that they might not know is out of alignment so they can see it as you support them, get them back into it?
Yes, with the caveat that it's the way that I support them is getting them to see it for themselves
Yeah,
versus saying, like with Pascal,
yeah,
like you're walking the wrong way. The I guess the parallel for the work that I do, I can't say, well, you're out of alignment making that choice. You should make this choice. That's just going to be like interesting for them to hear. It's not really going to make a difference
yeah.
for them. So it's more about being able to divine like what direction to lead them in our conversations that's going to provide them that like aha
Yeah,
insight or moment so that they can see it for themselves.
awesome. Okay, I really got the difference. Thank you for
Yeah.
like creating that with us because
Yeah.
what you and I have a commitment around is to completely disappear the conversation of burnout,
Hmm.
which is women not being connected to who they are in this way that you're seeing and in this way that you're now working with your clients. But even with us all knowing that burnout is an issue, it's increasing, it's not decreasing.
Yeah.
So if you looked forward into what you see, Michelle, what would you ultimately want to create for women, for all women?
Ultimately, for all women to thoroughly, can't think of I want a stronger word than thoroughly, but thoroughly and deeply trust themselves and their
Yes.
inner knowing.
And why does that matter to you?
Because that's like the key to everything. I think, in all of the ways that I've looked at the impact of burnout, not just on me, but on other people and the people that I've worked with, it can get boiled down to that one core thing of if only you trusted yourself implicitly without question, you wouldn't go, that you wouldn't get to that point of burnout necessarily
Yeah,
because there's so many points before you even get there where there are opportunities to pause or make a different choice or, do something that would mitigate it. And sometimes it's as simple as paying attention and honoring yourself and what your body and your heart are telling you to do. But we
right.
don't get taught to do that, especially as women.
So what
We
could so what could you create that would actually teach women that?
well, I've been thinking about that.
Oh, have you now? Because the way you're speaking about it, I'm like, you're up to something over there.
Well,
What are
I've
you
been writing
thinking?
a book
Right.
to try to articulate like
Yes.
how can I teach women that because and it's this has been almost a year in the process of me writing this thing that like, and I'm ready to like, it's got to get out there. Like the world is waiting, but I still
Yes.
am trying to like not get it right, but get it to a point where like, okay, is this really going to make a difference for the people who read it? And are they going to get it? Because, my process was kind of like, let's call it, trial and error, like messy, and sometimes I got it right and other times I didn't, and I'm still discovering what it looks like. So it's like, all right, how do you explain something like that to people? Like that's been my challenge, I guess, in
So
writing it.
but hold on, this is so funny. What did you say? The one thing we've all got to get down to as women, we've got to what?
Trust ourselves.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. That's one of the things that why I'm in another iteration of the book is as I was writing it, I realized that I wasn't trusting the reader in the way that I was writing. I was getting too over explaining in the book. And it was like, all right, like they'll get it. Like I just need to trust that like this is gonna resonate and they're gonna get it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So you have a book in the works.
Hmm.
All right. What else is cooking in that vision of yours? What else are you creating right now?
Um, well, I am creating the retreats. The retreats I call Thrive in Paradise, which happen in Barbados, which happens to be where I am right now, but for personal reasons. And
So
because
thrive. Yeah.
when I originally, because it originally started as burnout recovery and self-care, and I saw how, for me in my own burnout recovery journey, like me actually taking the time to like do what I needed to do for me was such a challenge because there was like that mindset barrier of like, oh, I can't be selfish. I need to like, I've just been so trained and conditioned to like make sure everything and everybody else is taken care of first. And it was like, to me, self-care was always seemed like something that like was a luxury, or like I can only allow myself that after I've done all the work or taken care of everyone else. And really, the reality though is that it's a necessary thing. It's a right, it's a necessity. It's actually like where you get your power from and the ability to be able to be who you need to be and want to be for the world or the
Yeah.
people in your life, right? So, um, we joke around, and I use this analogy all the time with people about, the that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help the person with you. There's a reason for that, because if you can't breathe, you're no good to anybody else. But none of us actually live that way for real, right? Um, and so that's what started the first iteration of the retreat was, because it's so hard to do it, especially in your everyday life, having an immersive experience where you like, are out of, the constant like doing and demands of your job, your family, your home, and can, because it takes like a couple of days, and you probably like experience like anytime you go on vacation, aren't you like still wired for the first couple of days, and then finally by like day three, you're settled enough to like actually feel like you're on vacation. So, um, that is part of it, like, being able to feel safe enough to put things down and just breathe and just be, because when, our nervous systems get so dysregulated and so used to being on high alert when we're in survival mode, that slowing down actually feels uncomfortable. It feels unsafe. And so you need that time for your nervous system to realize like, okay, it's safe. I'm not on high alert, and I'm safe to relax, to stop. Nothing bad's going to happen.
Isn't this is so good because I was just talking to Michelle about this earlier today actually because someone I've gone through burnout and I think it's taken me like 3 years to get to a place where I'm good now. I'm still doing stuff. It never taking care of yourself never stops, right?
Yeah.
But one of my doctors, one of my brain doctors, Dr. Nessa Fernandez, he was sharing and has shared with me and other people that most people are in stage 3 stress and they don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become so normal that anything that's not in that high alert survival, I've got to be on alert doing kind of mode. And it's now why heart disease is becoming the #1 illness for women, because the stress that we're living in, but we think is normal because we're so out of alignment because we don't know what not being stressed is.
Mm-hmm.
Or as you said, when you finally relax, it feels uncomfortable.
Right.
For me, it's not unrelaxed. I feel bored, which is uncomfortable. Like there's a board in there that I have to face full on to not be doing something, not be creating something, not be thinking about something, not being like it's taken me so long to be able to be comfortable in the uncomfortableness. Until now it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But that has taken so much work, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's taken so much work, and that's why your retreat is so essential for women to come and actually be in a guided experience to start to learn what that feels like for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a huge challenge for all of us, because as soon as we step back out into life, we're back into the immediate. We've got what? A text to a messenger, to a Zoom call, to a this thing, to the that thing, to the news, to internet, to being contacted any minute that you want. It's as if we're always available. So what in your vision for women that you're creating, and this book that's going to show them how to start to be this woman who is connected to her intuition, has slowed down enough to listen to her body, honors herself by making the right choices, just for us as women to really take that on for ourselves. What do you think the first kind of challenge is? Because we're all stressed out. There's no
Yeah. I think the first challenge is recognizing that that's where you are, and to, back again to something you said earlier, that's sort of the point of why the retreats are so powerful. It doesn't, you're right, like you go on a retreat and you have this great experience and it's transformative. And yes, eventually you go back to business as usual at home, right? But the difference is now you've seen the difference.
Yeah.
You're now able to identify or make a distinction between normal stress and what I call like, well, it's burnout, right? But part of what I see that happens, I call it self-abandonment. It's like every time you say yes when your body says no, you're abandoning yourself. Or you push through, or you ignore, the your hunger or your thirst, or you don't go to the bathroom, or you ignore what your body is asking for, or what your heart is asking for. You're abandoning yourself, and that's where you lose self-trust. You can't, how can you really trust yourself if you're not even attuned enough to take care of yourself the way that you need to?
Yeah, completely got it. Because if you're a woman who's up to something, see, why does this matter? Because you're creating a legacy, I'm creating a legacy, the women around us, or we all have visions that we want to make a difference in the world. We're talking about yours that we're creating right now. And the more you expand And if you are not able to keep yourself grounded and connected in the way that you're talking about, Michelle, a way to really honor yourself as you expand, three things will happen. And this is what Dr. Ernesto really supported me in seeing. He said, either you'll get so stressed out, you'll burn out. And if it's not that, and you keep plowing through, all your key relationships will fail. Something's got to break. So if it's not your stress, it's going to be your relationships with the people around you. And then if that doesn't break, something's going to break in your business because you can't maintain the performance of what your business is asking you for. So it's your well-being, your key relationships, or your business performance. That to keep all three in alignment, you have to keep honoring yourself as you keep creating. And if you don't, at least one will drop so bad that it will pull down all the other two. And that is the whole flat down of what happens when you get burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting to get. So many women now who are in corporate, who are getting to careers and getting into these places, start to experience this. And instead of doing the work that you can provide, they're just leaving their corporate jobs. They're not
Mm-hmm.
even, they're not going to stay in a role that they can't maintain right now. And instead of doing the work required to keep them in a place of leadership and power, they're like, okay, peace out, I'm leaving, which is what a lot of the leadership's been doing. So I think there's even a bigger vision here to get created, because it's not just burnout inside an empty vacuum. It's like,
Right.
how can we empower women who are leaders in the world that are going to create a whole new culture of what it means to be a woman in leadership? But how are we going to do that if they're not able to stay in leadership themselves?
Yeah.
So what can we create for that?
Well, I heard someone say something brilliant once, which is we need to create a whole new way to be as a woman.
Well, isn't that what we're doing?
Yes.
But then I said that, and you know what someone said to me, which I thought was amazing? She goes, Jo, it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us.
Yeah.
It's not a one woman show.
Mm-hmm.
This is an all or nothing game.
It's a movement.
It's a freaking revolution, is what it is.
Yeah.
So the more we talk about it, the more we share about it, the more we create about it. Because so many people, as soon as you say the word burnout, even the listening there is like not getting heard anymore. So you've got to say it 10 different ways for people to hear something because they can't hear that anymore. But how are we going to not just eradicate and have burnout be gone, but as you said, which what I love, Michelle, but what you're creating, which I haven't heard yet being said, is actually train women to operate in a way that really honors themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with your book.
Yeah.
Starting with your book.
It really is. It's about changing your relationship with yourself out of, the process of, and I talk about this in the book, attunement and, being present and being attuned with yourself. And then once you learn to listen to yourself, being able to actually honor that listening and what your body's telling you and being, you then develop the courage to, speak your truth versus just go along to get along or keep the status quo. But, again, it's not a linear process. It's, different practices that happen in sometimes small moments. That's why I say it's sort of like a sunrise and it takes a while. It's not like an all at once sort of thing. And there's no like checklist to go through. That's probably some of the struggle I've had with the book too. It's like, this
Yeah.
isn't a to-do list of, just do this, this, and this, and then, you've
Yeah.
got it. Um, so it's like, how do you explain what it is to, be attuned to yourself enough where, and drawing on your inner wisdom and self-trust. Sometimes you can't explain it, you have to experience it. And that's why I like try to create an experience that, allows women to feel safe to do that.
I think that one of the biggest challenges we haven't spoken about yet is the environment that women work in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes, does not. So it's like,
no.
there's a buzzword of burnout culture, like, which is very much, part of corporate culture and, yeah.
So I think that it's two sides, that it's not only the work that women take on for themselves. There's got to be also a transformation of how business operates to be in partnership with people to create wellness in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could be, and I've done this, I mean, I'm sure you did it when you were corporate, like I can be all of that, but when my job says I need you here and I need you to do now, it's like that either show up or I'm going to lose my job. There's no like
Yep.
in between about it.
Yeah.
And that job can take you years to get to. So it's not like you want to get fired from your job. So that tricky dance for women as they start to navigate between business demands and honoring themselves. I think that now is the next piece that needs to be explored, because we're not just honoring ourselves sitting on it in my garden. It's like, how the
Right.
hell do we honor myself when I walk into my job and I've got someone ask me for this and I've got to do this and then I've got to do that. And no, I haven't had lunch yet, but I've been on calls all day and everyone's expecting me to turn up. Like, inside that leadership role, how do we start to bring those two together? Because it's you and the environment. The two have to operate that sensory
Yep.
leadership. So
Yeah.
how can we start to change the conversation going to the environment as well now?
So a piece of it is, I'm not answering your question, but as you were talking,
Yeah,
looking at like, well, what is it to honor yourself and like, what is self-care? And, yes, it is sort of dependent on the environment because it's not as simple as like, well, just take time off or like, don't take that call or,
yeah,
ignore your email because there are, that's a real, culturally in a lot of high pressure jobs. And I work with a lot of women in the finance industry and the tech industry and, lawyers. And like I had one woman who said like, oh, even if I'm on vacation, I'm expected to answer emails and calls. So I can never really take time off. And so it's about like dealing with like, okay, so then what do you do to honor yourself? And, there's no like quick, easy answer, but I think um, if part of it is maybe changing the conversations at the corporate level or at the leadership level about mental health in the workplace. And some of that is happening a little bit. You see articles, but it's only just starting to be like, I think a lot of people's experiences, a lot of companies might talk about it like for optics maybe, but the reality is they're not actually practicing it or letting their employees practice it because it's still like, they're doing it because it's the thing to do to be like PC or whatever.
yeah.
But if your employees still feel, you know, concerned about their job security, if they take care of their needs, then it's something's broken still in that system.
And that's why we need more women at the top of companies to really start being an advocate for a shift in culture.
Yeah. And not just women at the top, but women who, again, have the strength to lead differently, to
Yes.
create that new way to lead as a woman. Because right now, I don't know if you probably have worked with more corporate women than me, but most women in high-powered corporate positions lead as like men would, right? They
Yeah.
don't lead like women would. So that's part of the problem too, is embracing, leading as a woman with woman logic and heart and all of that.
Which is so needed. Now, let's just get back to, I think, the main point, which is really the ability to trust yourself. I think in a lot of this, we can look externally at what needs
Hmm.
to change in the situation or change in the business. But until we have a deep respect for who we are and what we provide, we will never honor the power of who we are in any job or any workplace. And as Melina said to me, she said, Joe, it's always going to be an inside job first. It's always an inside job first with us, right? In terms of
Yeah.
being connected to trusting ourselves in such a way to start to shift. Maybe it's not the whole company, but it's just the way how I work with my people, or it's that how I work with my team, or how I speak when I'm with other people. Like it just starts where you are in the environment now you're in. You don't have to take on the whole thing, but you can just be the beginning of walking your own talk in around where
Hmm.
you are. And what I mean by that is it's so funny. If you said to me years ago, oh, are you going to take a vacation? I'm like, oh, yeah. In England, 6 weeks off, 6 weeks paid vacation, any job you work for, right? Get to America. Where did 6 weeks go to? 2. I'm like, what can you
Two
do in
weeks,
2 weeks? Well,
maybe.
maybe if you're allowed to switch off or
After you've been there for enough years to earn that second week,
this
usually it's
week.
1 week.
So when I
Yeah.
first moved here, I was like, what? I've just lost 6 weeks to maybe now 1 week to I'll get to an extra day after every year, or whatever it is, the setup,
Hmm.
right? And I've been here now for some time. I've been here for, I can't believe, almost 22 years. So
Wow.
I'm very immersed in the American culture. So much so that Michelle and I were having a bit of a back and forth because we planned to shut the sanctuary down for 2 weeks. I'm like, we're going to do that. We're just going to take 2 weeks off because we need to go and take care of ourselves. If we can't just keep going like this.
Hmm.
So let's. But when it was coming up, Michelle, I was so confronted. Like, can I really do that?
Yeah.
Will my all my clients just disappear? Do you know what I mean? It was all
Well,
there.
here you are a day later back. How'd it go?
It was going great, but
Are you in search of new clients? Did the whole place fall apart? No, like
no, they've been incoming. I keep getting referrals today. It's been hysterical. So
yeah.
anyway, thank you, Becca. I'll come back to you, Becca, on that one. So anyway, no, the complete opposite has happened, right?
Yeah.
And and then I was messaging and saying, okay, I think this is going to be our new creation. Soon, the first day of summer, we have 2 weeks off just to start the summer holidays and get into the space of summer. And at the same time, there was another woman on Forbes. She did this massive article. Can't remember her name or company because I just saw the brief where she was like, I just shut my company down for 1 week and the whole, like the same thing. Like there's the
Yeah.
beginning of women talking about this and creating this. And I think the more we connect to other women who are doing it, and start creating alignment with other women doing it. Like, I see you, I love this, this is amazing, we're doing it too. Because there are glimmers out there of us doing it, but how to bring that collectively together is what's going to start to create a real bigger conversation of what you're talking about, which is this movement.
Hmm.
So any words of wisdom on that one? And yes, I'm still here and my business is still here, but I'm
therapy.
was like, no, but it
But
was
it's like
lovely.
you need that experience, right? That I think that's what's meant.
Yes,
Like I call it exposure therapy. It's like you have to go through it, like take that leap, and then when you see that, like, oh, it's actually turning out, you're a
yes,
little less now. Here you are talking about, all right, we're going to do this every year. The beginning of summer, we're taking 2 weeks off.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that was someone who trusted herself, listened to what she needed, listened to what the team needed,
Mm-hmm.
called it, then backed down and said, then I was like, and then Michelle was like, no, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, we're doing this.
That's right, Michelle.
Yeah,
You're so Joe is lucky to have you. Keep
I
her
know.
keep her
She just,
straight.
and then somehow the World Cup is on. We're both like, how the hell did we make this happen? The World Cup is happening at the same time. Designed for us.
Yes.
But yeah, but that's what we're talking about. And I think just being with you and I think what I can start to hear, I'd love to have you say this in your own words, is having this vision for women be exciting. You know what I mean? Like an inspired vision, like we get the opportunity to create this whole new way to be as women in business and life as our own expression, not as a reaction to how it has been, not making
Mm-hmm.
it wrong because we're insistents on us, not because we've dealt with burnout, but because we can. Now
Yeah.
that would excite me more than coming at it from the other space. So what's your vision, Michelle?
I think I'm going to say it with, as you were talking, what came to me was if every woman really truly was able to trust herself and live from that, we could change the freaking world.
Okay, so let's get rid of if.
If every woman could really trust herself, the world would change.
Yeah. So I'm just going to support you because I'm really standing behind you to get this
Yeah.
created with you, okay? Because this is going to be started with a legacy that's going to get created. And it's so not if, maybe just to support the language. Your vision is every woman trusts herself.
Yeah.
Every
I
woman
got it.
trusts herself.
Okay. Every woman trusts herself.
Period. And if every woman was able to trust herself, what could we create, Michelle?
We will create a whole new way to be as women, like
Yes.
going through the world and life authentically from your heart in alignment
With what you're
which
here to create.
which is
Exactly.
what we're creating in the 21-day challenge, like
Yes.
alignment.
That's the alignment.
Yep.
That's the alignment. Are you in alignment? Do you trust yourself?
Hmm.
Okay, we're developing you to trust yourself. Why? Because you're here to create. You're here to create something. So let's up the game and actually empower women's creativity that we can create anything we want. And enough of the
Yes,
same old conversation about it all.
absolutely. It's no accident that the name of my private practice is Created Life Consulting.
Yes. So here we are, we're fulfilling on the vision of your company, the vision of your book, the vision of your legacy, that every woman in life trusts herself. And when we do that, we can create anything. And I think it's time for all women to up their game.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to press stop there. Thank you so much. Have fun
You're
with
welcome.
the 21-day vision. Those of you who are watching, get on board and start to see where you trust yourself, where you don't trust yourself, when you're in alignment. Michelle's going to be leading that for the next 21 days. And Michelle, from me to you, I've got you on this. This is a legacy that's going to get fulfilled. Every woman trusts herself. Every woman. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.